implementation isn't just about plans and processes. It's also about managing the voice in your head. When pressure builds, deadlines loom, and you're running on empty, that inner dialogue can become your biggest roadblock. In this episode, I talked to Keith Dalmar, a digital specialist, business coach, and serial entrepreneur, about how self-talk can make or break your performance. Keith shares how he hit breaking point while running his own business alone, and the simple shift that helped him rebuild confidence, momentum, and results. If you've ever felt stuck in your own head while trying to move things forward, this episode is a powerful reminder that implementation starts with self-management. Welcome to Busting Roadblocks, the podcast where we break down the biggest roadblocks in business and help you clear a path to success. I'm Charteris, your host and founder of JC Consultancy, where we help businesses remove barriers and unlock their full potential. Today, we get to hear from Keith Dalmar, a web and digital specialist, a business development coach, radio host, and serial entrepreneur. I met Keith at a business games event where he delved deep into being mentally strong. It was a really thought-provoking discussion, and given the state of the world and the pressure that is on everyone at the moment, I felt we needed to hear more from you. Welcome, Keith.
Thank you, Janet. And it was so fun meeting you at the business games because we were back and forth on LinkedIn for quite a while trying to catch each other. And all of a sudden, there we were in the same room together. So that was great.
Yeah, you've got to take these opportunities, particularly with busy people. Now, I know your work experience centers around digital and web. However, you've also done sales and marketing, operations, and owned your own businesses. Now, I love it when people have varied careers, as it appears to make them more rounded and obviously excellent entrepreneurs because you know a little bit across multiple disciplines. Today, we're going to talk about a self-management example. And from what you've told me, although specific to the role you were in at the time, which is where you were working by yourself, I know that self-care, awareness, and management is a passion of yours. And I think this example has insights for our listener, as we've all been through this period with COVID where a lot of us had started working by ourselves, and actually a lot of us still are. So I think some of the lessons from this will be really valuable. Can you set the scene for us? Where are we and who are we dealing with?
Okay, so where are we? We're in Whanuapai, Auckland, and we're at the time probably, how many years ago now? Maybe 12 years ago? Okay. Yeah, about that. And we're in a shed warehouse that I'm renting. It's right next to a big paddock with cows. And it's a daily routine of surrounded by lots of growing sprouts and wheatgrass and budding business that I started all by myself with $25.
With $25, wow.
Yeah, that's how it started.
And so why were we in this shed in the middle of nowhere by ourselves? Why didn't you set up like what you are now in a co-working space?
So at that time, I guess where I was located was remote, and I was looking for a place that was affordable, that I could grow sprouts. And so I was able to set up my own kind of growing system in big shipping containers that had curtain slider open sides. And then I had a warehouse for all the dry goods and all the storage. So it was my office, it was my warehouse, it was my, everything.
So classic entrepreneur, everything. Yeah.
Everything happening. And we had, orders coming in from supermarkets and Whole Food stores. And I was doing marketplace, doing actual farmers markets and things like that at that time. Yeah. And so, it was a stressful time trying to juggle everything and be good at everything.
And prior to that, had you worked in big organizations with lots of people in the office?
So prior to that, I had worked in my own business for 9 years. So I had a fabrication company in South Florida and worked in very high-end goods, high-end clients, building very expensive things for people that could afford it. And when I moved to New Zealand, I didn't know where the market was. Everybody was driving Toyotas at that time. And I thought, where's the money? But then I got something closer to my heart, which was healthy eating and healthy food. And I thought, I'm going to start something new. by myself because that other business was with people. And then prior to that, I have years of experience in the retail sector, and then also, working on stage as an actor as well.
Yeah.
So.
And so had you been in environments where you'd worked with lots of people and had, I guess, the coaching and feedback loop around you?
Not as much.
Okay.
Since then, I've had a great level of experience with that now. It's like, I wish I had that then situation.
Yeah.
So, I think it was all very bootstrapped and learning as I go and trying to get the best out of everything that I did. So wherever I worked, whatever situation I was in, trying to get the biggest takeaways for myself.
And so how did we get into a situation where this self-management was needed? Tell me about where you got to.
So I guess important to note the reason why I went like by myself running my own business was that I had business partners and it didn't work out as I would have liked. And I was young and impressionable, and it was hard. So I decided to try something different, which was, I'm going to be the boss. I'm going to do everything myself. And so, there I was. It sounds great. And there I was dealing with stuff that I wasn't used to dealing with, accounting things and suppliers and things going wrong on large scale. Like when, a shipment comes in from China for a product that you're selling and it's wrong and it doesn't work properly, and you have to open 1,000 boxes by hand. So there were things happening that I was having to juggle and manage.
Yeah. So you were under
And it was
increased pressure versus any other role where you had owned your own business.
100%. There was just so much more pressure. And then I was just at that time, as we get into the self-talk was getting more and more negative. And I wasn't aware of how it was escalating until the days where I would be sitting in front of the computer going, you know what, you're fired. That's it, Keith. You're out. You're out. We're firing you. Everything. We're shutting it down. And then also, there was my wife was pregnant. We had our first child. So the stresses of family and being able to
more pressure on making this business work. Yep,
absolutely. All coming from all sides.
And so is this the first time where self-talk had interfered with your, I guess, success in life?
I'd say that I probably had, I definitely have had dialogues all along, of course, and they've definitely helped get me out of situations or preserve me in situations, and a lot of learning and confusion along the way. So it was the first time when it really impacted, I think, my well-being, where, I started to really, it became really hard to go on the day-to-day and
perform.
Understanding, perform in general. Just practically just show up and think without just feeling so unwell and sad.
And I think the hard thing when it's your business and it's just you, is that if you don't perform, nothing happens.
Nothing happens.
So you have to be on something. You even have to be just even 5%. Is better than not being able to perform at all.
There was an ego trip as well at that time of wanting to, I was a different person then, and I wanted to achieve and I wanted to make a success, quote unquote. And I had all of these things. I had my name wrapped up in the business. It was Keith Sweetgrass, it was, there's so many layers involved in that drew me in closer to it.
So essentially, if we were bringing this back up to big business, because a lot of the people who listen to this, hopefully lots of people listen to it, are working in bigger businesses, what our big roadblock is that our feedback loop became only our own self-talk. Was there anyone else who, like, you can think they could have, like, now retrospectively, that you could have leaned on to help with that feedback loop? Because I know where we're going with the solution, but if you think of now, if you could go back and tell your young, high achieving or hungry self, you should have really talked to, is there anyone, just for the people, because I think there's levels to this, and particularly for Kiwis, we're not good at going out and getting help with stuff like this. So if you were going to say, I know how I got out of it, but if I was going to go back and tell my younger self, this is actually what I should have started with.
You're bringing back the past for me. So I did seek out coaches at that time, and I did have a coach. And now I think it's about asking the questions and being curious with your own coach, not relying on them to just solve all your problems.
Right.
And then being vulnerable and honest, which I'm really good at now, maybe not so good at then.
Yeah.
That would have helped the process if I could have shared a bit more of the stresses. It wasn't just all an accounting issue.
Yeah. And do you think some of it was also the coach you had was more like, because as you know, there's more than one type of coach. There's a business coach and then there's personal and wellness coach. Do you think at that time, because 12 years ago, even then, wellness coaches would have been a little bit woo-woo.
Yeah, sure.
People would have gone, why do you need that? Now, everyone does it, but it's more at that time.
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say probably that's what I needed, more on the wellness side, where I think that person was probably really capable, and we probably touched on some of that, but I definitely didn't utilize it the way I could have. And that whole getting trapped in one's own mind on things, and even feeling, because even though if I'm sitting in a corporate office right now and I'm not isolated, but feeling isolated because of all those things, the idea of creating success for oneself or one's family or one's business, all of these concepts, the ego, everything, that doesn't matter whether you're growing, whether you're growing wheatgrass or, sending out shipping containers.
Yeah. Yeah. So although specific to this role, it is something you've had before, but actually your self-talk has got you out of situations. So this is one of the first times when it's got you into, I guess, a hard place where you're not functioning as well. So like I've said this probably in about 4 or 5 podcasts now, self-awareness is really critical to all management. So if you understand where you are and how you're feeling and how to trigger yourself out of those feelings, it's phenomenal. It's hard when you work in isolation and by yourself. This is the exciting bit. How did you get yourself out of this?
So yeah, it's key is that self-awareness piece. And I've started thinking about self-awareness a long time ago through diet and other things, and slowly it just creeps in. But yeah, sometimes in this situation, it got away from me. So where it changed, the day it turned, I was sitting in the warehouse in front of the computer, about to just drag myself over the coals once again for having a late order or having something not quite work out the way it was supposed to. And I said, what if Keith, and I third person a lot in my head, what if you were to encourage yourself the way you encourage others?
Correct.
What if you were to be as positive with yourself as you are when you walk in any room? And so I said, okay, I've got your back.
Yeah.
And that was it. And then I said, okay, I've got your back. You can do this. Let's problem solve.
Yeah.
And so when the negative self-talk or those feelings started to creep in, I just spun it around and said, no, you've got this. I've got your back. And then I did it a little further where I thought, I asked myself the question, can you make this happen? And the answer was, hell yeah, I can make it happen. And that felt really good. And I can remember that around that time, we were moving on to a new piece of land up in Auckland. It was very stressful. And I had to ask myself that question several times a day. Like, can you make it happen? Yes, you can.
Yeah.
And
Bob the Builder.
and it definitely, I was definitely pumping myself up.
Yeah.
And so that's led on to
more
better and better thinking as I went on.
So I've always heard that term, that I particularly heard it in relation to women and the way that they talk to themselves, because women will fight tooth and nail for somebody else. And so would you allow someone else to talk to your friend like that? Why are you allowing yourself to talk to yourself like that? You need to be your friend inside of you and go, hang on, no. Nobody's perfect. I might not be doing everything right, but that's part of being an entrepreneur. I have to be 80% at everything, which means things will fall over. If I want to change that, then I need to hire people, and that has its own complications and all the rest of it. If this is the path I'm going down, then you've got to be kind to yourself. I'm assuming that, I think I already know the answer to this, but I'm assuming that this new self-talk had implications beyond just this role and this business venture. Can you tell us anything about that?
Yeah. From this business venture, I feel like things have just kept on going up from there. And levels of confidence growing. And that was the kind of the next journey of just this achieving small segments, whether it's monetary or other, going, yeah, okay, I've done that. Yep, no problem. It's easy to make that amount of money. Let's make a little bit more. Let's throw an extra 10 on it. And yep, I'm worth it, and taking steps towards that and never looking back is kind of has been my approach, which has led me onto many different things.
And so did you set a process? Everyone has their opinion on this, but did you start to do like affirmations in the morning? Did you start to have a process to make sure you'd set yourself up for having a positive outlook on the day and on yourself?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I did, and I had affirmations before this. They were for different things. And I did take on some affirmations that I would do regularly to set myself up for the day. And of course they were seasonal, right? So I didn't do them forever. They went on for a while, and then I move on to some different routine or whatnot. Yeah, it definitely helped me. And I eventually grew that business to 6 employees and a commercial kitchen and things. I did say, okay, I can't do it all. How do I hire people? How do I make that happen? And how do I grow it?
If we were talking back to our listener again, who is in middle management, senior management somewhere, and they're getting inside their head, what are the 3 things you would say, this is what you've got to do? Obviously, let's assume self-awareness has already happened, because you know that you're inside your head and it's becoming destructive. What are the 3 things they should do to help prop themselves back up?
Those 3 things, let's just start with the first one, and that is the outputting of what's going on. So I would encourage, like, the invitation is to journal about it, to actually write what is happening. Is the person in your team a problem, or is it the way the engagement is happening? Like, start to look at things a bit bigger. So I guess first is like that, an extra level of that self-awareness, not just in your brain, but on paper or written down somewhere. And then the second one would be to go out and actually engage with the coach that you already have, or someone that can think in a different way to yourself. So, call out to Janet if that's, the kind of coach that, it's really important to get a reflection of what is going well and what your goal is from other people. And so doing that would be my second one. And then, my third one is again, an invitation to get uncomfortable and try to say something to yourself in that mental space, going, you're enough.
You're enough. You're not Superman, but you're definitely enough. Well, I think that's an excellent real life example of how setting even just a small process and taking care of that self narrative can create positivity beyond just the roles, etc., that you're working in. It's not easy, and I think if you look around Kiwis and Aussies particularly, it's not something we're really used to doing, but I think it's becoming more normal, which is great. And the more people talk about it, the more normal it becomes. But number one is self-awareness. So you've got to really see, particularly when you're feeling negative over time, what's actually causing that, because it's not necessarily a Nigel in accounts. It could be something else, and it could be your own narrative. And obviously taking the time to find it and fix it is messy. It's not easy, but more than one solution will help you. So thank you for that. Can you tell our audience how to get hold of you now?
Reach out on LinkedIn. I do have availabilities on Fridays to my community and the public. I have one more coaching spot available that I do one-on-one coaching. The coaching that I do is often surrounded around that digital innovation type aspect, but I do approach it with a lot of heart and care and excitement. When it comes to knowing you're enough is the message that I want to bring these days.
Mm-hmm.
And so whether it's in schools or workplaces, and if you're looking for somebody to come in and share some stories about what it means to be enough, I would really love to do that for you and your team.
Yeah. And I've absolutely heard you do that, and your stories you've got a lot of really good ones that are really relatable. So absolutely reach out to Keith on that, because it makes you think a lot about yourself and what you've done and the decisions you've made. And I feel like there's an evolution coming for you, Keith. So connect with him now, because as it happens, I think we're going to find.
Yeah, I do have several businesses that I'm working on. Yes.
Yeah. And that won't stop. I think you'll be serial entrepreneur forever, which is fantastic and makes it exciting to be around. And we'll add all of those credentials to the podcast description. So thank you so much for your time today and sharing your experience with our listener. We really appreciate that, Keith. Now, if you found this podcast valuable, make sure you subscribe and share it with your network. And if you have a challenge you'd like me to cover, reach out on LinkedIn or at jcconsultancy.co. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What roadblocks are you facing right now?